All right, guys, so today's video, we're gonna go over training till failure, when to use it and when to avoid it. Kind of just breaking down and understanding what training till failure is and how it looks, when to implement into training, and when not to always train till failure, because there is times when you don't want to train till failure. So training till failure is one of the most debated tools in the fitness industry nowadays, but is training till failure necessary to grow, to have muscle hypertrophy adaptations? Or are you just burning out? Let's break it down and get to the bottom of this, guys. So training till failure, is it smart or stupid? Well, failure means that we simply cannot do another repetition with good form. That's the key here. Training till failure means repping until you can't do another clean rep. So if that's at a set of 6, that means we can't do another rep without good form. If it's at 8, 10, 15, whatever the volume of your sets and reps are, training till failure means we cannot do another rep with clean, good, precise form. It's not about mentally giving up, but actually hitting your limit and realizing what your limit is. Now, if you are a coach or you have a coach or you program yourself, whatever the case may be, you might be familiar with the term IRI or RIR, which means reps in reserve. If we were training till failure, our reps in reserve would be 0. If you know more strength training or powerlifting, you might be familiar with the term RPE, which is the rate of perceived exertion. So how intense was a set? If we are training till failure with an RPE, that would be an RPE of 10. So they both go kind of hand in hand. They both kind of mean the same thing. Reps in reserve meaning we have 0 reps in reserve, we hit absolute failure. RPE 10 meaning we hit an intensity of RPE 10, meaning we cannot do another rep if we wanted to. Let's say we're training till failure, right? We have max stimulus in a given muscle. We will label this as fiber recruitment, right? We know that if we take a set to absolute failure, we are going to have max motor recruitment. And we know that mechanical tension is the driver of muscle hypertrophy, not necessarily for strength, obviously it's a big thing, but in terms of failure, if we have max motor recruitment, meaning we are training to failure, specifically those last few reps of a set, that is where we see the most muscle growth. When we train to absolute failure, our body recruits all absolute muscle fibers, including those high threshold fast twitch muscle fibers that have been proven to show the most muscle growth. So it would make sense that these reps are the most stimulative, but it all depends on can we recover from them too, because recovery is the name of the game for muscle growth, for muscular strength. If we are taking a set to absolute failure, yes, we are going to achieve, probably based on scientific evidence, we are going to achieve probably the most ideal recruitment for muscular strength and muscular size. But can we recover? Do we have a set program or a set individualized habits of how we train, how we recover, to be able to recover from max intensity sets, training till failure for every set? Now, when can training till failure backfire? Well, 1, sleep, right? If we are not getting adequate high quality sleep, we won't be able to recover. If our CNS is also too fatigued, and that kind of goes hand in hand with sleep, if our CNS is too fatigued and we can't recover, that is also a reason why maybe we should not train till failure. If we can't recover, there's no point. Now, when training till failure can backfire, this is more evident for compound lifts. And why is that? Well, if we are training compound lifts to failure all the time, we can actually build more fatigue than we actually do stimulus, right? So this fatigue to stimulus ratio is high in fatigue, low in stimulus. That's why you see powerlifters and all these people who train for strength, and specifically barbell compound lifts, they train with the RPE scale. They train in the 7 to usually 8.5, 6 to 8.5, around their RPE range, because we are still making strength adaptations by training an intensity where we are stimulating that strength adaptation, but we aren't training to an intensity of failure where our body is creating too much systemic fatigue buildup, too much CNS fatigue buildup, where we can't recover. So just think about it like this: if we are trained till failure on a squat, we probably won't have the best chance of recovering for our next squat session, right? So then we're hindering not only recovery, but we're hindering our next day of squats. Going into a little deeper of that too, if we are taking a barbell compound lift like squats to failure, how is that going to affect our CNS and our overall systemic fatigue when we have to go bench the next day or deadlift 2 days after, right? Yes, our squat is mainly legs and bench is upper body. We know this. However, CNS fatigue, or our central nervous system fatigue, our CNS, contributes to the entire body. It's our brain, spinal cord, and it goes to our peripheral nervous system, right to our arms and legs. If we create such a big systemic fatigue buildup on one of these days, we're not going to be able to recover from that session for our next session that might not even be that same muscle group. Having high fatigue does not equal high stimulus. So this should say high. Having high fatigue does not equal high stimulus, and this is evident in powerlifting and barbell compound training. I would argue that the effective hypertrophy zone for maximizing muscle growth and muscular size or muscular hypertrophy is training with an RIR of 0 to 2, meaning you have 0 to 2 reps left in reserve. So some sets you take till failure, more compound lifts or barbell lifts that are going to build more systemic fatigue or CNS fatigue, you take more to 2 RIR or 2 reps left in reserve. So if I'm doing a set of 6, I'm finishing that entire set of 6, but I could have done 2 more reps if I wanted to, and that would have been max training or failure. I would have reached failure. Most of your gains actually happen within the last 2 to 3 reps of training till failure. That's why scales like the RPE scale and using RIR are effective and very impactful and useful when training smart, because we don't want to, the goal is not to fry our body. The goal is to create enough adaptation and stimulus and gain enough stimulus, or create enough stimulus to have adaptations for muscular strength, muscular size. Now, when could we train till failure? Well, one would be isolation movements. Things that don't necessarily create a bunch of systemic fatigue. So bicep curls, side lateral raises, even some tricep pushdowns, things like that where it's a smaller muscle group in isolation, meaning we're only training that muscle or at that joint. Things like that, we can be more lenient with taking till failure. And it's good to take those till failure because those are muscle groups that we can recover quickly from, right? Hitting biceps, that's not going to affect our squat. That's not going to affect our bench. That shouldn't affect back. None of these other muscle groups should that really affect if we're taking it till failure. It's a small muscle group, it has smaller motor neuron recruitment. So things like that we can take to isolation, or we can take till failure. Another reason when you would want to take training till failure is if we have a deload approaching, right? And this is going to be more evident or necessary for my fellow powerlifters, but everyone should kind of take a deload, whether that's every few months, every 1 month, every several months, whatever the case may be. There's going to be a time and place for a deload, especially if you're a powerlifter. So if we have a deload approaching, we know we're going to deload next week or next block, the beginning of next block. That's when you can kind of get off with, okay, let's have an all-out max week, or let's try to train a little more till failure, because you know you have a deload coming where our CNS resets, our body resets, and our body recovers. When would we not want to train till failure? Well, one would be compound lifts, right? You see these people taking bench press to the max, all these lifts like squat, row, like barbell rows, all these compound lifts, they're taking the max, and they're wondering why they're not seeing strength adaptations or strength increases week after week, because their body can't recover. They're not allowing their body to recover because they're trying to take compound lifts every single week till failure. That's the reason we wouldn't want to take an exercise till failure. We also really don't want to take every set of every workout till failure, especially if we are training bigger and larger muscle groups like the chest, the back, legs, right? Not every time do you want to take a muscle group till failure or every set till failure. It's about training hard. It's about training smarter, not harder. And then lastly, if we know we are under recovered, or we're coming into a lift, poor sleep, high stress, low hydration, poor nutrition, any of these variables, if we know we're coming to a workout and we're under recovered, we're under prepared, we probably shouldn't take things till failure, because that's only going to hinder our recovery that much greater, right? So these are some reasons why you might not want to take something till failure. These are a couple reasons on why you would want to maybe take something till failure. And it's to each their own, right? On back days for me, I like to take a lot of things till failure, but I usually stay around that 0 to 1 RIR, maybe 2 RIR. But to each their own, do what you want. This is kind of just the breakdown of what I think, my spiel, and my kind of philosophy behind when to take things till failure. So what are some smart guidelines you can follow when thinking about training till failure? For your first set only of every lift, maybe, right? We also can think about it, like we mentioned, for isolation lifts, like bicep curls, side lateral raises. Some other guidelines would be training in an RPE range of 9 max. Sometimes we can have RPE 10 max, but mainly for those isolation movements. Another guideline would be listening to your body, understanding your body's ability to recover, understanding if you are recovered enough, just listening to recovery. Another guideline would be don't chase failure every day, right? Not every single day do we have to go to the gym and try to train everything till failure. That's when things start to add up. That's when our CNS doesn't get enough recovery that it needs. That's when we don't sleep well, right? That's why we tend to have bad workouts and stuff if we're always trying to take things till failure. I'm not saying don't train hard. I'm not saying don't train with intent. I'm saying be smart about your training. Understand that your body is human. We are all human. We need to recover. We need to be smart about our training. And maybe the best thing isn't taking everything till failure every single day. Think about training till failure as a tool and not a rule. Use it with the idea of intent rather than emotion. Train smart, not just hard. Remember that training till failure is a tool, not the necessary goal. You don't need to destroy yourself to grow. You need to be able to be training smart, but still working in that high intensity range of, RPE 7 to 9, sometimes 10, or RIR of 0 to 2. But yeah, hope this video helps. That's my little philosophy and spiel about training till failure, when to use it, when to not use it. Don't listen to me if you don't want to. I don't really care, but this is just another little takeaway on, how to help improve your training, especially if you're someone has poor recovery, maybe is stagnant in a lift or two, or is just not seeing much progress. Maybe it's your time to take a deload. Maybe it's your time to take a step back and realize maybe my training patterns aren't that effective and I'm really just trying to ego lift and train hard and intensely and go to failure in every set rather than being smart and mindful about my training and my recovery. So just take that all with a grain of salt. God bless you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you need coaching, feel free to look in the link in my bio. I have a website. I have workout programs on my website. I do one-on-one personalized coaching. So all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.